well, I got to shout out DoseOfDion, man, because it was actually the first time I went live on YouTube. And, you know, guys don't know DoseOfDion. He put out a lot of good content for the Detroit Lions.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the Lions salary cap situation after some of the recent moves that have went down. Now, today we're on Spotrac. Now, Spotrac is a little bit different than what we usually use, which is over the cap, and they have some different numbers. Which, before we get into this video, I gotta say, man, when these have different numbers, it can kind of be an issue for me that's trying to learn the salary cap and understand financially things when they have different numbers. It kind of throws me off. I'm like, wait, why do they have different numbers? But Spotrac is a little bit more updated. Some people say that over the cap's better. Some people say, I mean, there's a lot to it. I really don't know, but we're going to use Spotrac for this video because it's more updated, so it's going to be more accurate than what I can do on Over the Cap as of right now. But people have asked me, hey, where are the Lions financially? So we'll use this website, we'll go through it and see where the Lions are at financially according to Spotrac. This may not be 100% right. I'm sure this is not what Mike Disner is using. He probably has his own thing to use, but we're still going to have some fun with it, just try to see accurately where the Lions are at. Now, there are a couple of differences that I do know about this site. So I was rolling across the PFN, yeah, I think it was Pro Football Network article, and they were talking about the team's salary cap space, each team's salary cap as of right now. And they went to the Detroit Lions, and they said they have like almost $10 million. Now, on here it says 8.6. We'll get to that, but about the same, right? And you're thinking, whoa, hold up. Over the cap says we're $6 million over the cap, right? Like I did that. But this one has such a big difference in numbers. So what's going on here? Well, like I said, their numbers aren't exactly equal, so that kind of is an issue. However, there are a couple of differences that I do know about this. First off, this is based on the salary cap being set at $185 million, not $180, which is the floor, which is the minimum. So it's based on $5 million more than what it is, what the floor is right now. Now, if it's set at $180 million, then of course you get to subtract $5 million from it, and boom, there you go. But they're projecting it as $185 million for the entire NFL next season for the salary cap, which, you know, obviously is more than what is projected for the floor. So that is a big factor. That's a $5 million difference, and, you know, we'll discuss that as we go through. That's the first biggest difference. But let's break down how they came to the cap space paying $8.6 million. So here's what they looked at, okay? The total available cap is $200 million. Why is it $200 million? Well, if it's set at $185 million, and the Lions have roughly $12.5 million rollover, and then they have $2.5 million from the adjusted situation, which we talked about how it's going to be adjusted, and the Lions may save more money than we initially projected, 2.5 to 3 million. That puts you at, according to this, $200.27 million. So yeah, okay, boom, $200 million. I got it. And then the total team cap is $191 million. They have about $164 million within the players that are currently on the roster, and then they have the dead cap, which is like, I don't know, I think they have it at like 26 million, something like that. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head. I don't know if you can actually see it on here, but that's how they do it. And then they get that number, and they basically just subtract it. Then there you go, boom, you got the cap space at $8.6 million. So, hey, that looks pretty darn good for the Lions. But recently we've had some more moves. Now, they have some things updated on here, which Over the Cap doesn't, which is another big reason that their numbers are different, including the Jamie Collins restructure, including the Desmond Trufant cut. All right, so let's go through these contracts. Let's take a look at the contracts that we have right now. So we're at $8.6 million under the cap, and they updated some things. So let's update the rest of it. Let's update the rest of it that they don't have updated yet to try to take a look at where we are financially. So we have the Chase Daniel news, the Danny Sheltons, you know, the rumors. We have the rumors and stuff like that. But let's take a look at what actually has happened. So Christian Jones has been cut, which is going to save us $2.557 million. People are rounding it up to $2.6 million. Puts our cap space at $11.2 million under the cap. So you can see there's a little bit of a dead cap there. You know, we talked about there's a dead cap of $2.1 million, but you save about $2.5. So, you know, it makes sense. So Christian Jones cut. Then we scroll down a little bit further. We have the Bodine Cut, which also was announced today, which will save the Lions $850K. Where is Russell, my guy, where you at, Russell? Oh, here he is. All right. Boom, $850K, so almost $1 million, right? Gives us $12.067 million under the cap. So those are the two updated cuts, and we also have to update this Terrell Williams contract. Now, it's anywhere between $4.7 and $6.2 million, we were told. So you know what? Let's just be, should we be like, go right in the middle? Should we go right in the middle, or should we go at the very high end? I think we should just go at the very high end just to say worst case scenario. So worst case scenario, $6.2 million, right? Let's just do that. That way, you know, like I said, worst case scenario, the most you could pay him $6.2 million. Let's say he gets all the incentives or whatever it is. Boom, $6.2 million there. Now our cap space sitting at $5.8 million under the cap. All right, so those are updated moves. Now, we have some other things that can happen, right? We've had talks about certain things. Let's roll through it. So, Jared Goff, you know, you could always restructure Jared Goff's contract. If you did that, they'd save $18 million, depending on how much they restructure. But you could do that, right? And then take on less this season, put some guarantee money across 2023, 2024, depending on how they want to do it, right? I mean, depending on how you want to do it. But, you can save a lot of money there, but we'll put him back on the roster. I don't know if that's going to happen. Trey Flowers is another option with that as well if they wanted to. Coleman could definitely get cut, right? If Coleman's a normal cut, he saves you $4.9 million. If he's a designated post-June 1st cut, he saves you $9 million as you spread out that dead cap. So that's another option for the Detroit Lions. So we'll put him back on the roster as well. Jesse James could definitely be cut, which could save the Lions. As you guys see, 2.1. Designated post-June 1st could be $5 million for him. We'll put him back on the roster. Put him back on the roster. Terrell Williams, he's here. Then we have, let's see, Danny Shelton, right? We've had talks the Lions are going to release Danny Shelton, which would save you $4 million. I think this one will probably happen after hearing the rumors. Save you $4 million, only about $1.25 million in dead cap. So that's Danny Shelton. We'll put him back on. He's another option. You see the Jamie Collins restructure went down, where his base salary for this year was $11.3 million, but at the restructure, it's $4.9 million, nearly $5 million. So it's basically saving you, if you do the math really quick in your head, about, okay, $6.3 million for this season. Now they had the voidable years and puts more of a cap number on next season. But the Lions probably won't move on from him in 2 seasons. So it saves you a lot of money this year. You're hoping once the COVID stuff goes back up, you save some more money from it. And boom, there you go. Here's Jamie Collins' contract here after the restructure. So you can see now it's a cap hit of $4.9 million when it used to be $11.3 million for this season. 2022, you can see the dead cap goes up to $13 million, but then you have the voidable years. So that's his contract, kind of how they worked it out to save them some money for this season, but that's already done. So they are updated on that one. Then, I mean, there's a lot of options, right? I mean, a lot of guys may not be exactly safe. There's a lot of cuts that you can make, right? There's a lot of cuts that are going to be made. Nick Bawden's probably going to happen because, you have Jason Kabinda, which would save you, what is he saving you? I can't remember. $850K. So like Russell Bodine, I expect that one to happen. You know what? Let's do a couple cuts here just to kind of take a look at, ones that we're kind of expecting. So I would say I'm expecting there's definitely going to be, Nick Williams is another option too. Let's say you cut Nick Williams, he's got 1 year left. He saves you $4.7 million, $1 million dead cap. Let's say they cut Danny Shelton, which we're kind of expecting. Let's say there's a trade with Chase Daniel, which is difficult. You save $3.5 million, but the reason it's tough on here is because you can't do a pick, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think you can do a pick, which stinks. But can we just do something like really? Yeah, there we go. Let's just say we trade for Brandon. That way there's no money. We'll just act like Brandon here is a draft pick. So we process the trade. Oh, we saved $3.8 million, right? So $3.8 million saved for the Chase Daniel trade. So boom, you get some money there. Hopefully a pick or something in return. It could be a player. It could be. I'm not saying it can't be. But if it's not taking a cap in return, you save $3.8 million. That's another major option the Lions have, of course. Justin Coleman. The Lions want to cut Coleman. We talked about that, $4.9 to $9 million. So let's say they cut Coleman. They did bring Mike Ford back. Now, Mike Ford, where's Mike Ford? We forgot to sign Mike Ford. Here are the guys that are set to become free agents for the Lions. So, of course, then you're going to have to bring back Romeo, right? You have Romeo. You're going to have to, you got guys that you can bring back through here. Like Romeo's, I think, expected. But let's say Mike Ford, right? Now, we unfortunately don't know the details on this Mike Ford, signing. So we signed Mike Ford. Again, I don't know how much it is. I really don't know what the contracts are. They were undisclosed. But let's just say it's, I don't know, let's go on the safe side, say $1.5 million. Up in here and say, I don't think his cap number will be $1.5 million, but I always like to play on the safe side rather than, go underestimate. I'd rather overestimate just to be on the safe side financially. Let's say it's $1.5 million the Lions spend on Mike Ford, okay? Just to say it. So that Mike Ford gets added to the roster. Like I said, there's a lot of cuts that can be made. Nick Bawden's probably going to happen, so we'll cut Nick Bawden on the roster. He's got no cap it anyways. Jason Windows brought back. That's why I'm cutting Bodine because, just kind of makes sense there. But yeah, I mean, there's going to be cuts that can happen. Then, of course, you got the restructure options. So for the Lions, man, where are they right now? Mike Ford signing and Terrell Williams, roughly $8 million in cap space. Again, I don't know exactly how much Mike Ford is going to get paid, so that could fluctuate. And then, of course, Terrell Williams, that's going worst case scenario, $6.2 million. So still Lions have cap, but again, hey, $8 million is about how much to pay the draft. So maybe not even enough, depending on how many picks you have. So there's going to be moves that you're going to have to make. You're going to have to continue to do things, but we're expecting things to happen. Jesse James, another option like we talked about. So there's a lot of options for Lions. They can still restructure players. So things are going to go down, but as of right now, according to Spotrac, that's where we are. If it's a $185 million, but if it's 180, I believe that you would take 5 off of that, and that put us at $3 million. So we're still not in a great spot. It's ranked 22nd amongst the league. Tons of moves that are going to be made, but this is more updated. That's why overcap numbers are so different, and they're projecting a different salary cap for next season. So that's why they're different. But people have been asking me, where are we at financially? Well, if you have any questions, I can try my best to answer. I'm not a financial mogul, okay? I'm just not. I'm not that guy, but I can click buttons. I can boom. You know what I'm saying? I got whop. You know, hey, we can change the numbers here. No, I'm sorry. Okay, TT, sorry. You just look at it like this. Even if Spotrac's numbers aren't 100% accurate, if they're just close, it can kind of show you how difficult it's going to be to tag a guy like Golladay, where it's going to be over $16 million for just this season alone. You take consideration the draft is going to be probably 8 to 10 million, depending on how many draft picks that you have, right? So, you know, it could be around 8 million, and then you have a guy like Golladay that's 24 million between two things. You already signed Terrell Williams. That's why I kind of think the tag's out of the question unless you can extend him and backload it, or he's just going to walk, which I think some people are starting to think is actually going to go down. And then you got Romeo Cora, right? He's projected like $7 million a year, potentially higher than that. So it's going to be difficult. I mean, this is a tough offseason, and without restructure, it's going to be really difficult. But, you know, Lions, you know, they'll figure it out. I'm sure they'll figure it out. They'll figure out what they're going to do. It may not be as bad as the spot as maybe we initially thought, but this is, again, with the salary cap, again, being up, right, to 185. So it could be set at the floor for the season. That's why we're hoping that in future years, if we do backload contracts, it's going to be okay. And we restructure guys, it's going to be okay because the COVID stuff won't be here. The league will make more money, and that number will go back up. And initially, it'll help the teams, right? Because say it's at 185 this year, even going off their projections. If it's 200 next year, that's 15 more million for everybody next year, right? So you don't feel it as much. So hopefully it does go back up in the future years. But I think this kind of just outlines how difficult, you know, some of this stuff is going to be. Now, I didn't go into like a restructuring. I didn't do a full breakdown of what I'm projecting the roster or things like that. We've done the mock off seasons. We may do another one at some point, maybe like a draft or something. But at this point, we're kind of just reactionary, right? We're just reacting to see what the Lions do and seeing where they're at financially. And right now, look at their moves. And again, I may have way overestimated on Michael Fork's contract. Could be way cheaper than that. Probably is going to be cheaper than that. Terrell Williams may not get the full 6.2 million. So those could be a little bit cheaper than initially planned. Maybe it saves us a couple extra million. If we could trade away a guy like Daniel. Like I said, there's a lot of moves that we can do, but things will continue to go down. But at this point, you know, Lions are in position. They keep making things happen. Like I said, they're the NFC North in a really spot as a whole. The Lions are in the best financial situation in the NFC North, which is absolutely crazy. But think about that. So we should have a leg up in this race, maybe. Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.